Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Harbinger of Faith Digital Ministry. My name is Jake.
I'm Randy, and I wanted to say thanks to Chad and Christina for their comments. We received them, and we answered them, and if you need anything else, let us know. I appreciate y'all watching.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, tonight is the cross study, and we had to break it up into 3 parts, Randy. It's a rather long study, but to keep the video shorter, we broke them up into 3 parts. It is a powerful study.
Pulls on your heartstrings, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, here we go. Romans chapter 3, 22 through 26. We looked at the sin study last time, Randy. And if you haven't looked at the other videos that we got, we really recommend that you go to the Harbinger of Faith web channel. Watch The Truth Will Set You Free, part 1 and 2 in that order. Then go to the heart study, then go to the sin, and then go to this study. It's a better order to study these in, but let's
Since
get
you
started.
did allude to it, the website for Harbinger of Faith is in the works. I think you said web channel, but that's okay.
It is in the works. Hopefully it'll be up and running in the next couple of days.
All right. This righteousness is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. There is no difference between a Jew and a Gentile, for all have sinned and fall short in the glory of God, and are all justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus. God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of His blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate His righteousness, because in His forbearance He had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. He did it to demonstrate His righteousness at present time, so as to be just and the one who justifies those who have faith in Jesus.
Yeah. And a couple of times in this passage, Randy, you're going to see the word righteousness. Well, the word righteousness is used throughout the New Testament, and the Old Testament for that matter. But I want to talk about that for just a second, because the Pharisees thought righteousness meant taking care of themselves, hiding the obvious sins that we struggle with, not doing those, taking care of their physical needs, but they really didn't bother to help anybody else. And they thought they were righteous. And let me make this absolutely clear. From what I've read in the Bible, that is not what God considers righteousness. Righteousness comes from laying down your life to help someone else. And we're going to look at why that is throughout this study. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind as we look through here, that righteousness is not taking care of yourself, hiding the big sins that are obvious to others. It is laying down your life for someone else who's not worthy of it, and following the will of God, loving God.
Having love for your neighbors.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue on. Romans chapter 5, 6 through 8.
You see, at just the right time, we were still powerless. Christ died for the ungodly. We rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person, someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
Yeah. And so, as a Christian, we're supposed to be Christ-like, Randy.
Yeah.
And it's the world in general.
Human
nature. The world someone might, what he's saying is someone here might die for a good person. But Jesus came and died for the ungodly, for the ones the world rejected.
We have to follow Jesus. That's what we have to do.
That's right. If we're going to be Christ-like, that's what we got to do. Now, the other thing is, in the previous slide, it talked about why Jesus had to come and die. Well, that's because God is a just God. He demanded a price to be paid for our sins.
There's consequences.
For consequences, and instead of making us, which we couldn't overcome it, He gave His Son so that we might live with Him. All right. On to Mark chapter 10, 42 through 45. Randy.
Jesus called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as ransom for many.
Yeah. Again, we're seeing where Jesus was serving his fellow man, and he wasn't really helping the religious out. He was helping the ones who the religious had rejected. In other words, the ones that the world had rejected, the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the thieves. Those were the people that Jesus really reached out to try to help. And guess what? If we're going to be Christ-like, we're going to have to do the same thing.
Yep. I think it'd be easier to reach out actually to some of those people over some of the...
Yeah, it is. All right. On to Mark chapter 14, 26 through 31. Randy.
You will all fall away, Jesus told them, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter declared, even if I fall away, I will not. Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, today, yes. Tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same.
Not only was Jesus upset about what he was going to have to go through physically in the next 24 hours, but his 3.5-year ministry was seemingly about to fall apart. His 12 disciples, one of which is just about ready to betray him.
Judas.
Yeah, Judas Iscariot. And then the other 11 were all about to basically disown Jesus when he was at his most hour of need. Now, if you go back to Luke chapter 22, we won't read it tonight, but it says that he was so upset at this point that his blood or his sweat became like blood. And that is, if you look at the medical background on that, that is when someone is very stressed out, that their sweat becomes blood. And that's where Jesus was at right now. And then he had to worry about whether his disciples were even going to stick around to not betray him. Pretty sad right here.
Pretty hardcore stuff.
Yeah. All right, on to Gethsemane, Mark 14:32 through 36, Randy.
They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to become deeply distressed and troubled. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, he said to them. Stay here and keep watch. Going a little further, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible the hour might pass from him. Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me. Yet not what I will, but what you will.
Yeah, and you can see that Jesus he's troubled, deeply troubled. And he's wanting to know from God if there's any way that we can get around having to go through this next 24-hour period. But unlike us, he doesn't follow his will, he follows God. And that's, again, something that we can be Christ-like. He obviously loves God. To the point where he's willing to give up his life for us. So, all right, Mark 14:37 through 42, Randy.
Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Simon, he said to Peter, are you asleep? Couldn't you keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back, he again found them sleeping. Because their eyes were heavy, they did not know what to say to him. Returning the 3rd time, he said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. The hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of the sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer.
And unfortunately, the disciples are falling asleep as Jesus is going off to pray. He's upset, and if you read in Luke, an angel actually comes to strengthen him. That's how distressed he was. And now Jesus is coming, and Jesus is going to have to face what's coming next by himself. All right, I think that is the end of part 1 We will pick up part 2 in the next video. We really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Make sure you leave a comment if you want. Also, give us a thumbs up, a like, and please subscribe if you can. We really do appreciate that. Thank you.